Okay, Mike, this is Dennis Clark, and I'm going to take a look at the video you sent me while I was away for a while, and I'm back at my office now, so let's take a look. First thing I was wondering was why you have the aim stick there behind you. It may be to try to avoid lower body extension. And if it is, if that's the reason, then I would put it right here, right up against the butt. I wouldn't leave all that space back there. You'd want to keep it, pretty much on it, because one of the things I'm going to show you in your swing here is that you have a lot of that, quite a bit of lower body extension. I call it kind of, let's see, I don't know if there's a still camera or not, but I'm going to assume it might be. Yeah. See that? So there's a turn. There's a turn, the club falls into the slot. And if anything, the lower body is extended up past where it started. Then let's take a look at a static line here. So yes, this is a perfectly still camera on a tripod or not handheld, because you can see the red line isn't moving at all. That's what I'm going to show you happens for you. So you get to reach for the ball. Notice the arms more under the shoulders here. Arms pretty far out in front of the face here. This reach for the ball plays into it, into the way your swing is operating too. So as you start there, you will notice that you have a lunge at the ball, which is also, as I said, it plays into it. One of the reasons you're standing far away from it, because you're lunging quite a bit out at it. Now your camera speed here is not good. The next frame I would want to see the pre-impact frame, but it's already post-impact. So I like to get it done in slow motion on an iPhone 6 or later model, so that you get to minimum 120 and probably 240 frames a second, and you wouldn't have all that blur. So this swing here, I can kind of stop it pretty much anywhere. Like that. So your camera is not really going to tell us that, but what it's clear that how much you've left here. And even though you lunged at the ball, you still hit it off the toe. See, this face here would be turned over this way a lot more unless you hit it off the toe. So keep that in mind. Try to put the aim stick behind you, really touching the butt. See how that feels. That you have a lot of the lower and the upper body leaning out toward the ball instead of going through the ball. So that's one issue that'll help you. Another issue would be this issue of the hang back. Again, camera frames here, not great. We won't catch the pre-impact position, but you will notice that as you start down, your release is early, but it's no earlier than most club golfers. I don't think that's a big part of your problem, but one of the problem things about releasing it this early, in other words, instead of having the club like this at this point, the club is pretty well gone. Can't really tell from the blur, as I said, with the camera speed, but we can bet that it's released, is that your body is very inactive. You're still very flat-footed, and you're still of a physical condition and an age where you can get this to rotate. Let's see if I can draw that. Get your lower body to rotate more this way. See, that's really a flat-footed delivery with a lot of hang back to it. So you're leaning into the ball but not getting through the ball. That would be the dynamics of your swing problem. Your grip is a little bit of an issue. It's mildly weak with the left and a little bit strong with the right. So as you play around with the swing, you may want to take a look at this. It's possible that you need it more in your fingers. You need that right hand a little bit more on top. And eventually, if you can get your body working through it and not kind of running out of it, you don't do a bad job getting it back at all. There's not a lot of sway. Club face is in pretty good position. If anything, slightly closed, and that would be from that stronger right hand. But it's not bad. Just that here, we know we're humping out toward the ball. We're casting the club early. We're hanging flat foot. If you look at the next frame, you can see how much upper body tilt you have and how much reverse C you have. Now that you've probably played for quite a while and you probably play pretty well, and that's not something I would necessarily tackle. I mean, if you could, it'd be great because it'll let you play golf later in life to get your to keep your back in a little better shape. I would work on getting rid of some of the reverse C, driving your right shoulder past the ball, getting your upper body more over your lower body, not hanging way back like this. Let's see what I've got. So even though this is an iron, I still think it indicates more of what I'm talking about. That's Michelle Wie, who should have won a whole lot more tournaments in her life. But that's really driving the right shoulder past the ball. As you can see, yours is hanging well behind the ball. You see how much straighter she is at a similar point in the swing. You could work toward that too. So, when you hump out toward it, lower body extend, slide flat-footed, and then hang way back, you're really relying on your hands to get the thing square. It's not something that you can be real consistent with. I would consider that to be as big an issue as the lower body extension to get. Now, it's not like you can't do it, because you do get there in the end. You see where you are now? I'd like to get a little more of that look a little bit earlier in the downswing. Just practice on keeping your right side tall and your upper body a little straighter going through the ball, as opposed to that mega tilt with the upper body behind it. That'll affect your iron game too. I'm assuming that you get some fat iron shots once in a while. With that move, but maybe not. I mean, golfers are an interesting breed. We all find ways to deal away from the horrible shot, but I'd really like to get out of that, boy. Especially from one that just had back surgery. That looks painful. As far as your setup is concerned, I'd recommend looking at the grip change I suggested. Maybe a little stronger left, a little weaker right, a little more on top with the right. Eventually, you may want to come into the golf ball. You may even want to come into the golf ball right away. That's one of the reasons you probably hit this off the toe. I don't know if that's your miss or not, but one of the things you can do, it's very simple, is to get a can of Dr. Scholl's foot powder spray. Spray the face of your clubs. And for practice, it washes right off. And you'll get about 4 or 5 hits out of each spray to let you know exactly what your dispersion is. And based on the one swing you sent me here, I'm guessing that you miss off the toe. And that would be only natural. You're standing pretty far from it. There's a big gap in here. As I said, your hands are way out by your face. We really like the hands under the shoulders. Your lower body posture is pretty good, but you're leaning already a little bit top heavy, toe heavy. So you can set yourself back a little bit more. Those are things that are going to help you. You did take the club back pretty well. I mean, it's outside your hands. I like that. Your shoulders are turned pretty well. I'm assuming that you're a fairly low handicap, a little bit up out of your posture there, but that comes with age. That's something I fight and that all seniors fight and most of my senior students fight. But right there is really the issue. See, that right heel needs to start kicking off the ground. And you need to stay behind that thing. I'm sorry. You need to drive through that thing as you... I was distracted there for a minute. I want to get back to what I was saying about... I like the way you lower the club. The club's in a good plane, good position. Most of these problems that you're fighting for your ball striking consistencies have to do with the relationship of your body to the ball. It's moving back and forth and sliding and hanging back. And that's going to have a lot of face dispersion. So face mapping, as we call it, is a matter of being able to stay in your posture that you started with. Keep your relationship to the ball that you started with. That's basically it. And that's what I see in your swing. I don't know what kind of shots, and you can see how far out of it you've leaned there too. I don't know what your shot pattern is. I don't know if you mentioned that to me or not. But this guy's pretty good at golf, huh? Brooks Koepka. See, nothing out. I mean, nothing out toward the ball at all. These guys, they jump up off the ground. They gain power from using the ground. But this right leg kicking that far forward, your upper body leaning into it that much, that's your issue. And as I said, you're still hitting the toe. You would think that would be heel hitting, but in your case, standing as far as you do from the ball. So as you get more into a stable posture, keeping yourself against that, I would work real hard the rest of this season, and as long as you can play for the year, working against that. It's going to feel restricted at first, but I think that would be the biggest help for you. All right, I hope that helps you. And keep in touch.